This week, a Wild Coast community divided over mining.
Our community was very united, but today we afraid even our own brothers. We don't trust each other.
How much more blood will be spilled over Xolobeni sand dunes?
Saying no to mining, no! No! No to mining, no! No!
If Bazooka's death is not properly investigated and somebody not brought to trial, I'm worried that this will lead to an escalation of violence as we've seen in the past.
This is Checkpoint, and I'm eNCA Mabuse. For more than 2 decades, the residents of Xolobeni in the Eastern Cape have been waging war against an Australian mining company intent on exploring the titanium in their sand dunes. Titanium is used in the aeronautical industry, petrochemicals and mobile phones. But it's pitting neighbour against neighbour, brother against brother, as a divided community battles allegations of bribery and government influence. This report was produced by Julie Lawrence and filmed by cameraman Tsepo Maketa. Anti-mining activist Sinagogu Zukulu and social worker John Clark are on their way to a funeral at Xolobeni on the Wild Coast. Their friend Sikosiphe Bazooka Radebe's life was cut short in what appears to have been a hit. Fiercely anti-mining, it's suspected that Bazooka was killed by someone linked to a pro-mining group.
Huge mixed emotions, but at the same time, a conviction that we're not going to allow his death to deter us.
He's gone. We cannot bring him back. So we have to look at this from a positive angle to say through his death, that the world, in particular the South African government, will come to realize this is the moment for them to do what they should have done 10 years ago.
10 years ago, an application to mine a stretch of land in Pondoland from the Mtavuna River just south of Port Edward to the Mthatha River was defeated. Sinagogu is a member of the Amadiba community. His ancestors have been here for over 300 years. Here, people live off the land and sea.
This is the last piece of land in this country, maybe in the world, that is untouched by outsiders, that still belongs to the people.
But in the soil underfoot and in the dunes lies the world's 10th biggest deposit of titanium and other heavy metals. Highly valued commodities at the center of a decade-long standoff between an Australian mining company and those amongst the Amadiba people who fear what mining can do to their pristine surrounds. These images are from a similar sand mining operation near Richards Bay on KZN's north coast. If strip mining goes ahead at Xolobeni, the dunes will become like these, lunar-like, dotted with sludge dams.
Why can't people be allowed to craft the future that they want with their land?
The Perth-based mining company, Mineral Commodities Limited, or MRC, first tried to secure mining rights at Xolobeni in the mid-1990s. They faced formidable opposition. The Amadiba Crisis Committee, civil rights groups, environmentalists and legal experts howled in protest, and the movement gained support.
Because this land belongs to our children and the things that we want to see thriving on this land.
They demanded that the Department of Mineral Resources cancel MRC's licenses.
They were eventually revoked in 2008, or suspended in 2008, and only ultimately revoked in 2011. At that point, we thought that we had won the battle.
But MRC continued eyeing Xolobeni. In March last year, it lodged a fresh application to mine. This time, it's tearing the community apart. Over 1,200 people will have to relocate if mining goes ahead.
The mining has splitted people into the pro-mining and the anti-mining lot. Families that have split that are no longer in talking terms. People no longer attend the same events when there are rituals or parties.
Instead, people are living in fear. Shortly after the new application was lodged, pro and anti-mining residents clashed. Shots were fired into the air and people were pistol whipped. A month later, an elderly woman was hacked with a bushknife. Then in December, anti-mining residents were assaulted in Mdaja. Arms and legs were broken. Busisiwe Ndovela's homestead is inside the area demarcated for mining.
Ke ngosaseseyika ke ngoba kwakuye kuthi emalanga kufone omnye athi hey ningalala ezindlini aba bantu sivile kuthiwa bakhona bagcwele la isitolo ngaphezulu.
She and her children spent weeks sleeping in a nearby forest, even though she was heavily pregnant. Too terrified to leave their hiding place, Busisiwe gave birth to her baby in the bush on New Year's Eve.
Kwakukubi ke ngoba sasiseyika kwandilayitileyo ngelo xesha ngoba ndidla kubelekela esibhedlela qha ngenxa yokuba lokhu imoto ezi siyasizifune zezimoto zazihamba zisigebenga sizeyika.
The family didn't feel safe to return to their home even after her daughter was born.
Ngoba kwakukhona nempovane ke pha ndimbone ihamba nempovane apha ebusweni ndanexhala ndithiya ingade ingene nasezimpumelweni ebusuku.
The social worker, our very first obligation is to challenge social injustice on the basis of the Bill of Rights. And the Bill of Rights has a specific clause about the rights of children. How are you? So, there's something has to be done to make sure that this mother and this family are not subjected to this sort of intimidation. It doesn't belong in a 21st century South Africa.
The violence climaxed when chairman of the Amadiba Crisis Committee, Bazooka Radebe, was assassinated in March this year. Bazooka championed the rights of his people. John took this footage of him not long before he was killed. The community had gathered to stop mining consultants from coming onto their land.
And it was the last time I actually spent time with Bazooka. I came up and we embraced. And the mining guys didn't come. They were scared off, so it was really, in a sense, just another show of solidarity.
A month later, Bazooka was dead. Gunned down by two men allegedly posing as policemen. Xolobeni activist Nonhle Mbutama told us that Bazooka had called her just hours before his murder. She says he told her that they were both on a pro-mining hit list. She doesn't know from where Bazooka got his information, but accuses members of the MRC's BEE company, Zolco, of being involved in his death.
These guys, they have a list of the people they should be killed because we are blocking their activities and their project.
After the break.
We have a traditional leader, the chief of this land, who has been bought a vehicle by the mining company.
Car was given so people could be transported or get to the actual participation process. Would you have them more, would you?
Xolobeni's activists have long alleged that support for mining is being bought with money and cars.
When this company arrived, our community was very united, very loving each other. But today, we are afraid even our own brothers. We don't trust each other.
People are given labels. They are either called Zolco, which is the BE, they are called Zolco people, and they are called the crisis people.
The mining company's BEE partner is the Xolobeni Empowerment Company, or Zolco. In a loan agreement between MRC and its supporters, 14 million rand has been made available to provide immediate positive benefit to the Amadiba community. The money is channeled through Blue Bantry, MRC's other empowerment company, linked to their operational Tormin mine on the west coast of South Africa.
Did that money bring development of the community? No, but that money was used to canvass support for mining.
MRC is headed by Australian Mark Caruso. We phoned him at his offices in Western Australia.
Blue Bantry is clearly at liberty to use its money as it sees fit. Insinuating to infer that it's all piled into Zolco or TEM to support, whatever is suggested. It's just nonsense.
According to Sinagugu, Zamile Kunya is the man spearheading the pro-mining faction at Xolobeni. He's also a director of Blue Bantry. We wanted to ask him where the 14 million rand was being spent. Instead, he sent a spokesperson, Zeka Mnyamana, who couldn't provide us with answers, but accused the community of spreading rumors.
These people are creating stories in order for the government not to take the good decision about this mine. They are trying by all means to stop this mine.
Sinagugu says there are clear examples where people have openly benefited from supporting the mining proposal.
We have a traditional leader, the chief of this land, who has been bought a vehicle by the mining company.
He's talking about Chief Lunga Beleni, who's also a director of Zolco. At first, Zeka denied it.
No, not at all.
We have a proof because the ex-CEO who actually signed that deal has came out and told us that a vehicle has been purchased for the chief here.
After we told Zeka we could back up the allegation, he changed his story.
And when we look at our chief, he hasn't got the car and he has to travel all Amatiba area, which is a big area. Then we said that car must be bought by the company and its name is there on company's name. It is not under his name.
We haven't, when you say given, it's not given, it's been put there to assist in the process. The car was given so people could be transported or get to the actual participation process. Would you have them more? Would you?
Because of mining, this community has been left without the traditional leadership it used to have. Because again, they were trying to entice him, to bring him on board, to co-opt him to support the mining company, which is a very dangerous game because now the chief cannot bring peace to his people.
Chief Beleni wouldn't be interviewed. The Department of Mineral Resources also turned down our request for an interview.
We're currently undergoing a process with regards to Xolobeni that includes the DG being on the ground supporting the regional team that had been engaging with the communities on the concerns expressed, and at the conclusion of that process we will revert.
John says he can't understand why the department is even considering giving a mining license to a company with such a bad track record. MRC's Tormin mine on the west coast has been accused of human rights and environmental violations, even pumping sewage into the sea.
They have shown themselves wholly biased in favor of MRC. It's a case of the fox being in charge of the hen house.
Mark denies any wrongdoing.
Where's the factual evidence? Where's the breaches that are purported or alleged that have occurred? Where's the charging?
West Coast residents handed over a memorandum of grievances to the DMR in December. When we return, who's behind the bloodshed?
We have nothing to do with his matter.
Those who stand to gain from mining contracts in Xolobeni insist that mineral exploration will bring wealth to residents of the area. But with few examples of this around the country and continent, those opposed to mining remain defiant and say Bazooka's death has intensified their resolve. Pro-mining promoter Zeka Mnyamana says the Amadiba Crisis Committee is blocking the community's stab at a better life. The region is one of the poorest in South Africa.
If you look at the place, there is no infrastructure, no sanitation, there is no job. If you look at the youth is not working, which is not a good thing. And if we can have that mind, I think it will change our lives positively.
People here, they hate it when outsiders come in and tell them that they are poor. We are not dependent on shops, on grocery shops. They produce their own food. The people here, they've got livestock, they've got the cows.
Hayi ngeke sikwazi ukudedela thina ngoba bathi thina sithe asiyifuni mine. Akho nto soba sayizuza. Sozibonela ukuba uzokwakha phi. Ukwakha ke kunzima ke xa usuka apha ungaplananga ubuzokwakha ngantoni uzofike kondawo wakhe ngantoni udle ntoni. Uba thina abantwana bebaninzi bebangaka.
They are also opposing SANRAL's plan to extend the N2 highway through the area. The community suspects that the new road is intended to service the proposed mine.
The road to be coming up and then just inland here, passing very close to Mdacha High School. If you bring in the highway here, you are going to attract an influx of people to come in here to choke up the land for sites, the grazing land, the crop fields.
You can go to the road company. They will tell you they have nothing to do with mine. Even the mine company has nothing to do with that N2 road.
Sinagugu says while no one denies that people need jobs, he would prefer that government invest in agriculture and tourism.
Remember one study by the Wild Coast Conservation Project, which demonstrated that tourism and mining on a period of 22 years would generate exactly the same amount of an income.
He's also worried about environmental damage. If mining gets the green light, they will excavate 320 million tons of sand.
We have had a study done here by a soil scientist, an academic study done, which made it very clear that there is absolutely no way you could rehabilitate success and bring the land back to its original form if we have taken out the mineral that they want to mine.
Bazooka's funeral was a tribute to his activism, attended by his anti-mining comrades as well as local and international civil rights organizations.
The majority of the people here stood together against the mining, saying no to mining, no! No! No to mining, no!
No! And mining is only there to extract and to make the elite wealthy.
Despite the huge turnout, Zeka insists those against mining the Xolobeni dunes are in the minority.
It's not about the majority. It's about how you write, because they are good in newspapers, they are good in media, they are good in writing because they have good lawyers like Richard Spohr, they have John Clarks, they know how to stop this. It's not that they are many.
Xolobeni residents beg to differ.
Abafuna mining abafikanga u20 wabantu kule lali yonke sikelele.
Mine lena yona isiphethe kabuhlungu kakhulu silala phandle ngendaba yayo ngoba basidubula abantu bemine. Ukhazini wami lo bamdubule Bazooka.
No one has been arrested in connection with Bazooka's killing. Instead, his family say the police don't appear to be taking his murder seriously. The local police station said they had transport problems, while national spokesman Brigadier Hangwani Mlaudzi insists there's progress.
We are not in the business of publicity. We don't investigate through the media. And hence, it is very critical that we put it on record that there is a task team that has been formulated to deal with this case. This multidisciplinary task team involves members from the Hawks, detectives, forensics, you can name them. And there is huge strides that have been made so far in terms of this investigation.
We asked Zeka whether he and the pro-mining group were responsible for Bazooka's murder.
We have nothing to do with his matter. That is what I can say.
MRC also denies involvement.
We deny that there's any validity and factual basis to support that allegation.
If Bazooka's death is not properly investigated and somebody not brought to trial, I'm worried that this will lead to an escalation of violence as we have seen in the past.
Bazooka's body hadn't even been laid to rest when more violence was reported. This time, members of the media were targeted. Photojournalist Nigel Sibanda and reporter Simnikiwe Hlachaneni were attacked while taking pictures of the proposed mining area and its titanium-rich dunes.
He was carrying his knob carry, like he wants to hit us.
An angry mob threatened to set the car alight. When Nigel made a run for it, they hit him. He says police were on the scene but failed to protect them. Instead, he says, they confiscated his camera and he and Nikiwe were thrown into a police van with 3 of the accused.
I was riding in the front seat next to the guy who hit me on my head with a spade.
Everybody has got a right, and if they are being intimidated or anything, they can open a case. But to be honest with you, we were never informed about this incident.
An assault and robbery case has been opened. The Amadiba Crisis Committee say they will carry on where Bazooka left off and strive to get mining banned outright on the Wild Coast.
We are like abandoned people by the South African government because for 10 years we have been telling the government.
The issue here has gone beyond just human rights. It's about human wrongs and whether the state has the will, the capacity to actually deal with the wrongs.